to see you. Glad you're here, making sure we're going live in all the right places. Welcome, welcome. I am so excited to be talking to you today because we're going to walk through the foundational pieces of what making healthier policies experience is all about. The next several weeks, we're going to walk through each module talking about exactly the topics that we dive deeper into when we go into our course. And so I'm excited that you're here. If you're here with us live, put live in the chat. If you're catching us replay, put hashtag replay. Would love to know that you're here. Today, the main word is values. So if you're watching us live or on replay, put the word values. We'll know that you were here. So grateful to each of you. Our cart is closed. The end of the season for making healthier policies has come, and I'm excited. There's going to be a group that starts here shortly to continue moving that idea forward to make healthier policies at home and on the Hill, and we're excited about that. And you're going to see coming up, we're going to start talking about more what we can do for people who want more in the personal growth space, because I get a lot of questions about that. And so we're going to see what can we do in that space to serve everyone here that's in the group that might be looking for something a little bit different. More to come on that in the future. But I want to say a special thank you to Lisa and Tanya and to others who always catch our replays. Thank you so much. And man, Eugenia last week, she invited so many of her friends to our group. And I just want to say thank you. And I appreciate that. There's nothing greater than you could do for us as a thank you than to invite your friends. So thanks, Eugenia. Really do appreciate it. I thank you very much for inviting your friends. And I hope to meet them here in the group to say hello, to get connected, because I know it's really important, and I'm grateful that you have people that care about policy, right? Because we can make our workplaces better, we can make our community better, but we got to do it as a team because it's going to take a lot of us to make the world a healthier place. So thanks for doing that. My name is Renee Schulte, and I'm a clinician by trade, but I'm a former politician and a recovering workaholic. And so I work really in depth today on thinking about how do we make policies that are healthier that guide you toward work-life balance. Because there's a lot of people in the world that work really hard and they don't really get to spend the rest of their life doing the things they need to do. And so what are those things that we're talking about? We're working with changemakers and trying to make a difference all around the world. And what could that be? And so how do you do that? Well, the first foundational level that you have to think about are values. And that's your personal values, but it's also your business values. If you have a business or if you have something that you're moving toward in life, you have to think about what are the things that you want to be known for? What are the things that you want people to see? And what are should they expect if they work with you, right? And so we're talking about values. And one of the big values that I have, which is what we teach everything about, is work-life balance. Because if you don't know me, I had a big health crash about 10 years ago now. Ended up in the hospital for about 2 weeks. And that reset my whole career path. It reset my whole life. I was in medication for over a year just to try to get healthy again. And so my life prior to that was a lot about work. Work was fun. So I had hobbies of work. I had jobs of work. I had pastime of work. I had free time was work. And if I had additional time, guess what I did? You know it, work. And so that was the value that I held prior to that. The last 10 years, though, I've really shifted to making that much more well-rounded. And we're going to talk about that some more. We're going to think about how do you figure out what are the values that you care about? And work-life balance is a value that drives me to this day because I don't want people to have to go through those horrible crash and burns that I've had to go through in the past. It's just not what anyone needs to do. So what we're going to be talking about right now is how do you go about it thinking about values? So how do you do that? And so I'm thinking about one of the values that I started thinking about was giving value to others when you have an interaction with people. Now, go with me on this. I think this is a John Maxwell concept, but his mindset is that if he meets with someone, he's going to give them more value than they give him in return, that he's going to leave that person in a better position when he leaves than when he met. And that is an amazing value. And I thought of that as something like, I wonder if that's something that I could do. Could I be a person that adds more value to other people's lives than people expect to give to me? So I haven't really thought about that in a while. It was a few years back. I thought, I wonder if that's something that I could do. Could I be a person that people would know would bring value, that would be helpful, that they would call me knowing that, one, I would take the call, and 2, that I would follow through on whatever it is I said I would do, and 3, maybe even go above and beyond in the situation to help. That's what I actually wanted. But to be honest, I haven't really thought about that in a while. But somewhere along the way, it became something I valued, and it's become kind of a habit. And my clients have noted that and mentioned that I will do above and beyond or go the extra mile or, give value, that they feel better after listening to one of our talks. They feel better after being in one of our groups. And I have always had the words across my forehead to talk to me since I was very little. So when I was very small, people would talk to me and I'd talk to them and get in lots of trouble. I have many, many thoughts about being in church, being carried over somebody's shoulder out the door because I would not stop talking. Shocking. But now people talk to me. Just this last week, I've been connecting with all my friends on Facebook. So if you've been seeing messages in your messenger, they really are from me. People keep thinking I'm not sending these messages. I am absolutely sending these messages, just reconnecting. Because if we're friends on Facebook and we don't talk, then why are we friends? So I thought, well, let's reach out. And I'm having the most amazing conversations with people just about life. And when I leave, I want them to feel better than when they came, because that's something I can do for people. I can give that. So what about you? What are some of those things that you want to value? What do you think is most important to you? How do you see them playing out in your interactions with others? Or how about in your business? If you're here with us, replay or live, put in the chat or comments some things what are your top 3 values? Have you really thought about it? What is it that you care about? What is it that you want? I care a lot about, I told you, work-life balance, right? I talk about giving more than I take in relationships, but I also really care about leadership. And as I'm getting older, I start thinking about wisdom and leadership and how do I give back to the next generation? How can I teach others to do what I've been successful doing? Because I'm not going to be here forever. Let's face it, none of us are. So how do you leave that legacy with others and teach them the ropes on how to do whatever it is they want to do, right? And so for me, that's that leadership component. But what about you? What are the top 3 things that you think about that are important? So in building the healthier policies, we have to know values to kind of set the stage. That's what we're going to be talking about. And so when you're thinking about what could that be? So for you, let's think about it. If you're thinking about healthier policies, what is it that matters? Maybe you have a child at home who's not getting their needs met. We have a member in our group here in Wendy, and she's got some special needs kids at home, and they're not getting what they need in the school districts. So there could be a lot of policy and funding pieces that need to be fixed and addressed. But if you think about it at the bottom line, why would she care about this, right? I haven't asked her about values, but I can guarantee one of them is family. She's doing this to better the lives of her kids and the families with other kids like her kids. So she's not doing it just for her own anymore. Now it's moved on to let's help others too that are also struggling in our schools, right? And so I think also of Nina, who's been in our group. And Nina's the same way. She has values where she's working on things. She adopted some tough kids from the human services system, and they're great kids, but she needs support. And some of that doesn't always go the way it should. You know what I'm saying? DHS may say or think that you're going to get a certain thing, or they may promise you things that they don't deliver on, all that stuff, right? And so for her, what is it that is her value? She's driven now. Her background was not in mental health. Backgrounds in agriculture and leadership, different things. But man, she is using all her talents and skills right now in the policy space to make a big difference because, again, she's got people at home being impacted and she sees how it impacts everybody throughout the state. And so she wants to make a difference from that perspective. That's what we're talking about here. What is it that you value? What is it that would make you not just want to talk about your own problems at home in quiet, but would actually make you want to go do something about it? So think about this. When I ran for public office, I have told you the story before, but for those of you that are new, I had no background in politics. I took 0 or as little history classes as possible, and I took the limited number of government classes. I took what we called remedial government in high school, the kind that you had to take as a senior just to get out of school. That's the one I took because I was like, I don't want to know anything about this. Funny how that works, right? Move forward a bunch of years, and I ended up getting recruited to run for political office. Now, why would a person who has no background in any of this want to do that? Well, one reason. The mental health system was broken. You know how I know that? I had foster kids in our system, and it was a train wreck. It was terrible. I could tell you story after story. I was also a provider in that space. So there were stories after stories of things that just didn't work. And it seemed obvious to me that we could do it better. So here's what happened. Ran for office. One of the values was I think I can make a difference. I don't know how to do it, didn't know how, but I figured I'm smart enough I could listen to people. So I had a value about learning and listening to others smarter than me in a space I knew nothing about. But I knew that if I followed instructions, I could do what they told me to do. So that's what I did. And I got elected. And the day one I walked into the building, I was the only person there with a background in children's mental health. The only one of all 150 legislators. It was me. So I became the expert, and I don't know what I was doing, but every email in the building came my way. Could you help? Could you answer these questions? And so that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. If you're going to make change in the world, what's going to drive you to do it? What do you value? What do you care about? You have to know these things first, because working in policies can be easy sometimes, or there's a really long game in many other cases. And if you're going to change the world for a better place at work or in your community, you got to be ready for the long haul. So what is it that you care about that's enough that when it's going great, you're excited? When it's not going great, you're not going to quit. That's what we're talking about here. If you don't have those values established and you don't know what you're doing or why you're doing it, you're not going to be in it for the long haul, and you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get tired, and you're going to quit. And that's such a shame, because we need every single one of you to be out there making a difference at work and in the community, wherever you are. So just talk to us. If you're watching this on replay, what are the values that drive you each day? Why do you get up in the morning? What are you thinking about? What do you care about? What would you like to see in the world? That's what matters. And we've got a lot of great people in this group that are talking all about these topics, trying to figure out how to make the world a better place. We'd love you to join in on that conversation. We'll see you next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about a different foundational idea, and I can't wait to see you then. So have a great